The House Transportation, Mobility, and Infrastructure Committee will come to order. Would the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Shannon.
Present.
Representatives McDonald. Here. Coleman.
Here.
Conlon.
Here.
Farhat.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Miller. Here. Outman.
Here.
Roth.
Here.
Bruck.
Present.
Kuntz.
Here.
St. Germain.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the minutes from last meeting, September 26. Representative Coleman makes that motion. Seeing no opposition, the minutes are adopted. Today on the agenda, we'll be taking on testimony on Senate Bill 22, House Bill 4845, 4940, 4941, and then voting out House Bills 4723, 4897, and Senate Bill 251. So to get things started, we'll first be taking the votes. So first up is House Bill 4723. Do I have any cards on that one?
No.
Okay. So I need a motion to report House Bill 4723 with recommendation. Rep. Roth makes that motion. Would the clerk please take a roll call vote?
On the motion to report House Bill 4723, Chair Shannon.
Yes.
Representatives McDonald.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
Farhat.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Outman.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Bruck.
Yes.
Kuntz.
Yes.
St. Germain.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, no nays, no pass. The bill is reported with recommendation.
Up next is, House Bill 4723 is reported with recommendation. My mistake. Up next is House Bill 4897. Any cards to read on that one? I need a motion to report House Bill 4897 with recommendation. Rep. Conlon makes that motion. Would the clerk please take the roll call vote?
On the motion to report House Bill 4897, Chair Shannon.
Yes.
Representatives McDonald.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
Farhat.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Outman.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Bruck.
Yes.
Kuntz.
Yes.
St. Germain.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 0 nays, 0 pass. The bill is reported with recommendation.
House Bill 4897 is reported with recommendation. Up next, we have Senate Bill 251. Rep. Hoskins is offering a substitute H1. This is a clarification sub from MDOT. Can I get a motion to adopt the substitute? Rep. Miller makes that motion. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
On the motion to adopt the H1 substitute, Chair Shannon.
Yes.
Representatives McDonald.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
Farhat.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Outman.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Bruck.
Yes.
Kuntz.
Yes.
St. Germain.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 0 nays, 0 pass. The H1 is adopted.
The substitute is adopted. I need a motion to report SB 251 as substituted H1 with recommendation. Vice Chair McDonald makes that motion. Would the clerk please take a roll call vote?
On the motion to report, Chair Shannon.
Yes.
Representatives McDonald.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
Farhat.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Outman.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Bruck.
Yes.
Kuntz.
Yes.
St. Germain.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 13 yeas, 0 nays, 0 pass. The Senate Bill 251 is reported with recommendation as substitute H1.
Senate Bill 251 as substitute is reported with recommendation. Going first for testimony today, we have Senator DeMoose discussing Senate Bill 22. Thank you, Senator, for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for taking this up, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This is a very simple bill that was brought to me, as the best bills are brought often by a constituent who is our local prosecutor in Emmett County. And what he was concerned about is that we all know that you can't take a weapon past security in an airport. I mean, this is common sense. That's already the law. But the Michigan law that defines what that means to go past security, a sterile area, as they refer to it, defined it by referencing a federal statute. And that federal statute has since been changed to drone legislation, so it has nothing to do with airport safety. And so he was literally concerned that he might not be able to process or to prosecute if somebody intentionally ran through security just because of this technicality in the law. And so this whole bill is just about defining what that area past security actually means. And we've got a couple people I know are going to testify via Zoom. One of them is that prosecutor, Jim Linderman from Emmett County, who brought this to me, and another is from Kevin Klein, who runs Traverse City Airport. But I'm open to questions, or you can ask them if you'd like.
Okay, I guess we'll ask if anybody has any questions for the senator. We'll do that first, and then we'll go to the Zoom presenters. So, do I have any questions for the senator? Okay. All right. So, continuing with Senate Bill 22, we have Jim Linderman, Emmett County prosecutor, here on Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Linderman. The floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I thank you very much for allowing me to testify here today regarding this particular bill that Senator Demus has very aptly explained, and appreciate the fact that he's taken up the cause to do something to change the situation. What we're really faced with is a very unique situation because somebody can walk into, in our case, the Pellston Airport with a weapon. And obviously, when you walk up to the TSA desk in some of these areas that are secure, there'll be signs indicating no weapons. But the real issue is that the statute, as Senator Demus has indicated, doesn't properly define what a sterile area is. And a couple of things how I was concerned about that. One is that criminal laws should be very evident to the man on the street as to what they're doing and what they're doing wrong. By having an improper definition of a secure area, we don't have it spelled out correctly. So the local sheriff's department, as in many airports, has a contract with the federal government to uphold security. So in this situation, if somebody walks in and is carrying a weapon that's discovered, they obviously would be able to detain. But the problem is there is no present statute that's really written properly to then go ahead and prosecute the person. So we're left with this real dilemma. The right thing was done years ago in putting the statute in place, but unfortunately, with the federal statutes being changed and renumbered, we have this issue. So all I'm trying to do here is put us in a position so that we'll be able to take the action that's necessary if a person should walk into the sterile area with a weapon. And there's probably other definitions of sterile area in the sense of secure area. And a lot of times it's signed, but one could say common sense would say don't do this, but on the other hand, people have done it, usually a carry-on bag, and I've had a couple of those, and I felt I've been unable to prosecute those because of this bad definition from the federal statutes as it connects and corresponds to our Michigan statute. I guess that's basically where I'm coming from a prosecution standpoint. So I'd appreciate any assistance you could give us in this situation.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for the prosecutor? Doesn't look like we do. Thank you so much for your time.
I thank you.
Up next, continuing on SB 22, we have Kevin Klein from the Traverse City Airport. He's also here to testify via Zoom. Mr. Klein, feel free to go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to testify via Zoom, and you would accommodate me with that. I represent the Cherry Capital Airport and the Northwest Regional Airport Authority. I'm the CEO. I also am the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Michigan Association of Airport Executives. The primary goal of the Michigan Association of Airport Executives is to assist all airports in fulfilling their responsibilities to the communities they serve. Our membership includes from the smallest of airports in the state of Michigan, those with grass strips, all the way to our largest at Detroit Metro. When we look at Michigan's aviation infrastructure, we have 215 licensed airports and public heliports. 17 of those airports are commercial service airports. They all contribute to the robust and vibrant aviation system and to connect travelers, businesses, and emergency responders to the state of Michigan. When we look at the economic impact that our aviation system contributes to the annual, to the state, 22 billion annual activity. Cherry Capital alone contributes over 1 billion in economic activity. Overall, airlines transported more than 39 million passengers in calendar year 2022 and have delivered over 601 million pounds of air cargo and U.S. mail annually. As said by both the senator and the prosecutor, this bill is to update the Aeronautics Code to bring it into compliance with the current Transportation Security Administration. As stated, the code currently references FAR Part 107. prior to September 11th, 2001, Part 107 was the federal regulation for airport security. Today, 107 regulates unmanned aerial systems. Local law enforcement and local prosecuting attorneys are running into a roadblock because of this discrepancy or loophole, so to speak, in the law. The current solution that is taking place at our checkpoints is to refer these to the federal prosecutor, which caused delays in prosecution and also actually many of these cases being set aside. So in the last 2 years, Michigan has saw over 277 events at its checkpoints. In 2022 alone, there were over 41 events with firearms. And currently in 2023, there has been 65 plus events. So the trend keeps increasing. Our request is that Senate Bill 22 be passed to correct the Aeronautics Code and provide the tools our local law enforcement and prosecuting attorneys need to handle these weapons in the airport's sterile areas at a local level. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Klein. We do have a question for you, Representative Roth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin, good to see you again, sir.
Nice.
Can you tell, I just heard from one of our local county administrators that there's been a few episodes at Cherry Capital Airport recently with guns. Can you confirm that?
Yes, we've seen in the last year at our airport, we've seen about 4 incidents here at the airport itself here. And they range from simple no intent situations where someone has left a handgun or even ammunition within their baggage to others that have to be further investigated on the actual intent of the individual. So yes, we've had several situations. Also, Northern Michigan does represent, I think, a higher activity level when it comes to weapons due to the nature of hunting and others that happen. And so having the ability for the local law enforcement and the local prosecutor to be able to determine that intent is very crucial to this aspect, because sometimes the intent is just passive, and it's easier to handle that at the local level than it is to have a federal prosecuting attorney involved. So when the situation warrants full prosecution, then it also allows that activity to be expeditiously handled by the local unit of government.
Thank you, Kevin.
Any other questions? Yes, Representative Conlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if you had no intent and you just, made a mistake, do you still have to pay this fine of $1,000?
It allows that to be based on if there's no intent for the local law enforcement officer to either confiscate that activity and allow the person to travel and then return and to be able to claim that, or if there's other intent involved, it's allowed to be investigated. But the brief answer is no, that the penalties won't be enforced if there is no criminal activity or intent.
It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So I want to thank you, Senator, for your testimony today, and thank you to our guests for joining us via Zoom. I do need to read in one card. And I dropped my glasses. Give me a second. So supporting the bill does not wish to speak is Troy Hagon from NDOT. And that is all the cards we have. So thank you so much. So up next, we will have Representative Bruck, joined by Brian and Larry Merkel, and also Michael Broman to discuss House Bill 4845. So if you'd like to join us at the table up here. Floor is yours, Representative.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee for allowing me to speak and have this bill introduced. Joseph Ladle was a captain in the Monroe Charter Township Volunteer Fire Department for over 28 years. He passed away after a fatal brain bleed in July of 2020. Joseph's father was a firefighter, and today with me I have a father and son combo. I have Brian and Larry Merkel, who are both firefighters, and they'll explain a little bit about who they are, but Larry is a retired chief. He was the chief for over 36 years, as a chief firefighter for well over 40 years. And Brian, his son, has followed in his stead. That's what Joseph Ladle did. He followed in his father's footsteps. He was a junior fire ranger when he was a teenager, and when he was 18, he joined the force, and he served for 28 years. And so this road renaming bill, in a lot of ways, it doesn't just memorialize Joseph Ladle, but it also memorializes all service personnel that give their selfless service to us as the citizens. One note with Joseph, he and a handful of other firefighters traveled to New York after September 11th, 2001, and volunteered their time there to help in that emergency situation. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my guests or have them introduce themselves. But I do have Brian Merkel, Larry Merkel, and Mike Broman, who is the current assistant chief for the Monroe Charter Township Volunteer Fire Department.
Thank you, Representative Brook. My name is Brian Merkel. I've been a member of the Monroe Township Fire Department for 15 years. I served under Captain Ladle. He was a lieutenant when I was on the first time, and he was a captain when I came back the second time. Actually, I came back to the fire department. I had taken a 10-year leave to start a business. And when I came back because he had died, actually. I own a funeral home in Monroe Township and Monroe County, and I served him during his funeral arrangements and his family, and served the firefighters. And so because of Captain Joe, I'm back on the fire force, serving our community. Representative Brook did a wonderful job of talking about Captain Joe and what he did for our community and for our department. I have some notes. I just want to read those real quickly, but unfortunately, he did say some of those things already. So Captain Joseph Michael Ladle was a 28-year member of the Monroe Township Fire Department. He was promoted to captain in April of 2019 after having served as a lieutenant for more than 10 years. He was a lifelong resident of Monroe Township and of Monroe. He attended Monroe High School. Joseph was a second-generation firefighter following the footsteps of his father, James, who worked for the city of Monroe. He was well-respected and well-liked. Joe was always a high performer, regularly responding to a majority of the calls for service for the community. In 2020, Monroe Township firefighters, a volunteer paid-on-call department, responded to more than 2,200 runs. On July 31st, 2020, Captain Ladle suffered a brain bleed while responding to an incident. He had already responded to multiple calls that day and several the previous day. A member of his own department responded to his aid, but he never regained consciousness and died at the age of 48 on August 23rd, 2020. Following his death, Joe's family also liked to have him give his organs to serve others. Captain Joseph Michael Ladle is the only firefighter in the 74-year history of the Monroe Charter Township Fire Department to die in the line of duty. The South Dixie Highway section of road that Representative Brook is asking to name is directly in front of our headquarters fire station. This is a fitting tribute to a man that gave his all for his community. It also helps us to make sure that future generations understand his sacrifice and the sacrifice of so many.
Thank you again for having us today, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Assistant Chief Mike Broman. I've been on the fire department for just about going on 44 years now. Joe was a very big, integral part of our fire department. It isn't just that he run calls. He had several other positions there while he was there. He was head of our turnout gear, and we had a boat at the time. He was in charge of our boat. So there's many other things that he did. So he put a lot of time into the fire department other than just running calls. We are a busy fire department. This year we're probably going to be in the area of 3,000 calls. We're paid on call from home. We don't have anybody that stays at our station. So it's a lot of stress. Most guys, I mean, if you want to, you can run 8 or 9 calls a day. So again, Brian said most of the stuff about Joe. Again, he was a fire explorer when he first got on, and as soon he was shortly on, maybe about 4 or 5 years, and 9/11 happened, and he was one of the first people to say he wanted to go out there. He thought a lot of the New York Fire Department, and he was very integral in getting that going and going out there. Again, I want to thank you guys for listening to us, and Representative Brooke for having us here today. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Larry Merkel. I retired from the fire service in April of 2019. I actually served 47 years in the department, and the last 36 as chief. I think Brian and Mike's pretty much said it all. Joe was a very asset to our department. He probably ran at least 50% to 75% of all the calls. And we spent a lot of time together discussing problems in the fire hall, and he jumped right out and tried to take care of things. And I think it's very fitting that we honor him because people need to know about public service and what they do. So I just hope we give you some mindset of what Joe did and how valuable he was to our department and the community itself. Thank you.
Did you want to add something?
I did want to add, I met with the Monroe Charter Township Fire Department in July, soon after I introduced the bill, and we had a meeting, informational meeting, and giving them all the details. It's going to cost this much. You're going to have to raise this much money. What are you going to do? And, you know, they came up with some ideas, Chief Cherney, you know, about having boots at the stoplights. And I'm happy to say within like 3 or 4 weeks after that meeting, they had raised over $6,000 to entirely pay for it. So I just wanted to state that fact that the money is already raised for the signage. And so they're very excited about it. So I just wanted to add that to it. Thank you, Chair.
And that's a good flag for the committee members to know that the money that is needed to put these signs up is gathered by the person that wants to get that sign. So thank you for kind of bringing that up. Really do appreciate it. Do we have any questions? It doesn't look like we have any questions. I want to say thank you for telling us about Joseph's life. From the committee members here, we thank him for his service, and we thank you for your service. So thank you for joining us today. And we won't take up a vote today. We'll take up a vote in the near future. So thank you for your testimony. Thank you, Representative. And I do have one card to read in. Troy Hagon from MDOT does not wish to speak, but is neutral on the bill. Okay, the committee will go at ease call of the chair.
This is a good committee.
The House Transportation, Infrastructure, and Mobility Committee will come to order. Representatives Shannon and Filler are up next to testify on HB 4940 and 4941.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee, for having myself and Representative Filler here today to discuss House Bills 4940 and 4941. These bills were introduced earlier this month and provide important bipartisan effort towards clarity and consistency in the law. House Bill 4940 and 4941 specifically make clear the liability of a county road commission or a county when it fails to maintain a public highway as required by law. It distinguishes that such a violation by a county or county road commission falls under the remedy and procedure outlined in the Governmental Immunity Act. This legislation helps protect our counties and county commissions and to ensure the upkeep of Michigan's infrastructure while continuing to be the priority. The contributions by Michigan taxpayers need to be safeguarded and spent for the benefit on priorities like our roads rather than litigation. This legislation will help provide clarity and protect our counties and communities under the same standards of other governmental agencies under civil law. And thank you. I'll let Rep. Filler take it from here.
That's a really good nuts and bolts, and so I'll give you sort of my rambling discussion of what happened here because he hit all the key points. But basically, sometimes people file claims of notice against county road commissions. Maybe it's a defective road, a bridge collapse, causing injury. Okay, it's a pretty simple concept here. And we have two statutes that sit in Michigan law and sort of feel like they govern the same thing, and they're called the County Road Act or they're called the Governmental Immunity Act. And essentially for the past 20 years, courts have been going with 120 days and the Governmental Immunity Act. And then randomly, a couple years ago, the Court of Appeals said, you know, we've got this County Road Act. It's kind of a fun one to play with. So we're just going to rule that that's the proper act and it's 60 days. And then I think 2 years ago, the Supreme Court essentially dropped the hammer and said, enough of this. We use the Governmental Immunity Act for these claims of notice. We use 120 days to file notice. Everybody knows that, and they put the issue to rest. So what we're doing is codifying the Supreme Court decision. Now, I think it's a good idea. Representative Shannon thinks it's a good idea. Why? I think because the clarity is good for Michigan taxpayers. 120 days is a longer time than 60, so it gives you some time to review the defect, and also it gives the county some more time to fix it or to prep for litigation to know if they're actually doing something wrong. And I think that makes sense. What we don't want and what the people of the state of Michigan don't want is a lack of clarity and confusion when you've got the Supreme Court with a decision sitting out there and a Court of Appeals decision that disagreed and is causing confusion. So no stakeholder opposition last term when we ran it, 35-0 in the Senate, 88-9 and 87-10 in the House. The Michigan Association of Justice has some questions about opening this act, and I believe the representative and I will continue to work with them. And that's my overview, and we're happy, of course, to take questions.
Thank you, representatives. Representative Brooke has a question.
I guess I can use this one. I have a question. Thank you for your testimony. Does this have any effect, or is, I'll put it simply, like in Michigan, winter, plowing, et cetera, does this litigate or mitigate the liability regarding suits that would become because of weather conditions or lack of plowing, that type of maintenance?
Nope, this isn't about this actual liability. I would say that the Governmental Immunity Act, if you had to line them up, and here's the Governmental Immunity Act, and here's the County Road Act, they have a little bit, I'd say the Governmental Immunity Act demands that somebody who filed notice maybe put some more details than the County Road Act, if you had to line them up, but they don't actually deal with it doesn't change the liability questions. Those are fought in court, and it doesn't change that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Kuntz has a question.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. What happened to the bill last session? It went out of both chambers. Can I ask that question?
I believe Pocket vetoed, there was a lot going on at the end of the term, and we know there's bipartisan support for bringing clarity for the claimants and also for the counties and for the road commission. So it just got pocket vetoed, and I don't believe there was an explanation unless Representative.
Not that I'm aware, but just keep in mind at the end of last term there was a lot of things that kind of fell through the cracks.
Understand. We like our chances this time?
Yeah, of course.
Are there any other questions? No? Thank you, representatives. The committee will go at ease. Call of the chair.
The House Transportation, Infrastructure, and Mobility Committee will come back to order. So I do have some cards to read in regarding the bills that we just did testimony on. So Bob DeVries from the County Road Commission Self-Insurance Pool supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Ed Noyola from the County Roads Association supports the bill, does not wish to speak. Dennis Kohler, Road Commission for Oakland County, supports the bill, does not wish to speak. And Troy Hagon is, does not wish to speak, has created his own category, no position. Okay, so we have no absent members. So there being no further business before the committee will stand adjourned.